Welcome back to another episode of Game Plan the Podcast. I'm your host, Davis Cole, and joined as always by our host, Juice.
Yo.
Today's guest is a Pilates instructor, a physical therapist, and a Jiu-Jitsu athlete. Please welcome to the podcast, Shelly Hardin.
That's cool.
Game Plan! I'm at Kingsway still currently, and I'm a hobbyist. But like the caliber of training partners there is just so high.
Yeah, I bet.
You know?
Yeah.
So I feel like a white belt, you know, even though I've been training for 8 years. I'm purple belt currently.
Dang,
but like,
that's awesome.
But, you know, yeah, so it's kind of tough. And then, you know, of course, women training.
Yeah, it's never
that's a whole
easy.
Other,
yeah.
It's a whole other ball game.
Hey, you stuck with it for 8 years.
Yeah, I'm still gonna keep going. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna quit. You know, there's definitely been times where I've slowed down because of certain politics and whatnot.
What was
Right.
the longest like break you've taken from training?
So I've never taken. I don't think I've taken a full on break. Maybe like 2 weeks of no class, but usually it's like I'll go like once a week. You know, at least twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, when I was training with John, when I was married, by the way. Are we on?
We are.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Because yeah, when I was married, I was in a unhappy marriage. We'll put it that way. And it was like an escape for me, you know? So I was,
Is it when?
Whoa! What are you pointing at me for?
That was not a
Damn.
callback to you and your relationship. That is a callback to our previous conversations about.
Like blue.
We've talked about this a
Gotcha,
lot,
okay.
where you get into jiu-jitsu, and especially if you have like an unhappy relationship, it is the escape.
Yes, it's an escape.
Right.
Oh, so I'm not the only one. Perfect.
No.
So I was training like 10 times a week, like legit, like, you know, 2-a-days, you know, competing, stuff like that at blue belt level. So yeah, to go from that to like once a week or like once every other week was, you know, a big change.
Yeah.
But I felt like I needed that to really get my emotional state right and my spiritual state right, you know, during my divorce.
It's like stuff aren't great in like at home, so you go on the mats to kind of equilibrate.
Yes.
Right.
Calibrate.
Yeah.
Get some stuff out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my start to jiu-jitsu was a long time ago, but it was like a very similar thing where I was like a teenager with anger issues and getting in fights all the time. And then like the second I started training, all that behavioral stuff stopped because I was like, I had an outlet. So I went from,
Yeah.
you know, getting into fights to never fighting ever again, except for like combat sports stuff.
Oh, cool.
You know,
How old did you start? How old
I was
were you?
15 when I started jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because my nephew is 7. And let's just say I don't necessarily agree with the parenting style sometimes of the father. And one day the father said something, and I was like, all right, Ian, you're coming with me. We're going to jiu-jitsu for the first time. I was like, that's it.
How old was he?
He was 6 at that time.
6.
And well, because the father was like, you know, you need to get you know, he's like, oh, I'm not your father if you don't do X, Y, Z. You know, you can go get a different father. You can go get a different role model. And I was just like,
Wow.
Jeez.
what?
And they're out there. Go get
And
a
he's
role
6
model.
years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get it, you know, boys need discipline, but that's not discipline. That's like verbal abuse right there. I personally think.
Yeah.
So he loved it. Ian loved it. And they were concerned about his behavioral issues, but he was so well behaved. He did it. He was amazing in class, and he loves it. Now scheduling's tough, so they're not able to like continue on with it, but I think eventually they're going to get him and also his twin sisters into jiu-jitsu, which will be great. Yeah.
I feel like twins is like a superpower in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know? You got like the meows,
Yes.
the rotolos.
Yes.
I can't think of any more right now. But like siblings
Imagine
is already strong.
Imagine female twins too.
Yeah. Well, the Fanigra from AOJ.
There you go.
Yeah. I think if you do jiu-jitsu and you have a twin, you have like 1.5 skill amplifier. Like
Yeah.
twins are so in tune with each other that the second one twin learns something, the other one's going to pick it up through osmosis like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I train with my brothers, and the way I train with them is just different than with other people. Like we don't really train hard anymore, but like we used to try to kill each other. I just didn't get those kind of looks. So imagine like a
Yeah.
twin, you have like twin animosity going on. I've been training a pair of twins that are like young boys, and like they work with me because it's like hard for them to do classes, so we do like private sessions, but I can see like just like the power of it is like the way that they go after each other. It's like a death match every time, you know. And then they're still so sweet. They'll like finish it and be like, "Oh, I love you, bro." I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like 30 seconds ago I was about to like step in and separate y'all, but
Yeah.
it's a really cool way. I think like jiu-jitsu for kids especially is just so good for like the tapping on both sides, like giving up and then like also having the control over something and then allowing someone to like escape. I think that's like particularly what hits for
Yes.
like for what I was, which was like a adolescent boy with like regulation control probably, and like it taught me to like calm down and ask for mercy sometimes, but then also eventually learning how to have that like real power, but then like controlling that too.
Mm-hmm.
So you said Gracie Baja, was that here in
That was
Texas?
my first gym. Yeah. That was South Austin on Brody Lane.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was like the first catalyst for you to get into jiu-jitsu?
Boredom. Honestly, I was bored out of my mind lifting weights. And I started lifting in 08.
Oh wow.
So I'm 42. And at the time I was doing Pilates. I was living in Boston at the time. I'm from Austin, by the way. I'm native. Austinite. So I have that unicorn horn there. I was living in Boston at the time, teaching Pilates full time, well, part time, and going to school part time, and lifting weight. And I was kind of like, well, this is really boring, you know. Then I moved to Austin for physical therapy school, did that, and just kind of like lifted throughout grad school, and did some dancing as well, like two-stepping, whatnot, to like let my hair down. But anyway, I was just like, why am I lifting? Like for like what's the purpose? Do you be strong? Yeah, I get it, right? But I wanted something different. And I, as a former dancer, I used to be a professional dancer. I loved learning techniques. Like that was my main thing. Like in modern dance, you learn Ailey technique and Cunningham technique. And I know this probably doesn't mean a lot to, you guys.
What is
but
that?
whatever that is.
Sounds fast.
So, and I wanted to learn martial arts. And I first started with Kung Fu.
Nice.
Actually, because at the time one of my clients, I'm a physical therapist, right? One of my clients was a black belt in Kung Fu, and she was like, "Oh, come to my school and try it out." So I did, and God, I was talk about boredom. That was really boring because I was just like practicing moves, like punching and kicking the air, you know, memorizing this like routine. But I did it for a month, right? And I got my yellow stripe in Kung Fu. And then I guess I have my husband to thank for this, my ex-husband. He was like, well, why don't you try jiu-jitsu? Because his brother-in-law did it. And he had done it for like 6 months and loved it. And so I did. And I went to like 5 different schools, did all like the trial classes. I did a trial week at Paragon. And this was back in 2018. And I got injured like 3 times in a week.
No.
Like minor injuries. But, you know, I knew that Paragon was known for being like really intense, you know, which it was. And I did enjoy that, but I was like, maybe this isn't the one for me. And then I ended up at Gracie Baja, and it just like, it was just super nice. Like the vibe was really chill, very family oriented, you know? So I really enjoyed that. And I enjoyed the curriculum. I was like drawn to the curriculum that they have for fundamentals, because a lot of schools you go to that's just like, you're just learning this random techniques every day. So I did that for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was at Gracie Baja for 3 years doing mostly gi. And so I got, you know, really strong fundamentals, but then at one point I was like, well, like what else is there kind of thing. And like the advanced classes weren't really structured. And then at that point, Danaher had moved to Austin. And so I was like, well, I've got to go train with John Danaher.
Yeah, and you were like involved enough with the sport at that point to know that like one of the greatest coaches of all time is coming to town.
Oh yeah, like I was like watching YouTube videos of him, you know, this whole time, and then like to see him in real life in this small little gym on Guadalupe. Yeah, you know, it was like, yeah, that was a trip for sure.
What would you say were like the differences between? Because I've never actually trained at a Gracie Baja, even though I've trained for a long time. What would you say is like the difference between what you experienced at Gracie Baja versus with John as far as like structure and like maybe rituals. What's the word I'm looking
Yes.
for? Like,
Etiquette.
yeah, like etiquette. Yeah, I guess
Etiquette.
etiquette would be part of that.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoy the etiquette personally, like
Yeah.
the bowing on the mat and everything. That was very much a keystone at Gracie Baja. You know, we lined up in order, in belt order, right? You bow into class, you do the warm ups, you know, the jumping jacks and the push ups and the hip
Yeah, yeah.
escapes and all of that before class. And then, you know, at the end, you would bow out as well. But, you know, with John, there's none of that. There's no warm up, there's no bowing. At the end, you do shake his hand at the end of class. But
So
that's
there's like
about
a
it.
little bit. I'm the same way where like the other day I had one of our brown belts like tie his belt facing away from the mat, which like I don't know if that's like a
Yes, that's
kind
the
of like a
thing.
rule at Gracie
Uh-huh.
Baja.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of called out to all of the rest of the guys around like, oh, this guy's got some class. And it's not that like I'm going to run around at Fight Factory and say, hey, you guys got to tie your belt facing the wall. But when you do it, like I felt that little him trying to, you know, not be undressed around everyone, I guess is kind of like the intention behind it. But I
Mm-hmm.
do like some of those things. I also like the bowing before you get on the mat because like I've coached kids for a really long time and I've seen the difference of when I like had that rule versus when I didn't. And like it still helps that we make them take their shoes off. So there's a little bit of like a mindset shift for getting on the mat anyway. But I feel like the bow to the mat does help, especially with the children, where that way they're like, okay, this is a special place with special rules. Let me kind of like think for 1 second before I get onto the mat.
Yes.
But I think there's a lot of like weird, maybe not even toxic, but just kind of unnecessary things with like some of those rituals. And like I've been to gyms where you like bow to a picture of like a Gracie guy on the wall, and I'm like, this is bizarre. I don't need to do that to get better at jujitsu. And I don't think there's like as much payoff, but you know, they have their ways. And not even like all Gracies are all the same, because the guy I'm talking about is like from Carlson Gracie, which is like not Gracie
Mm.
Baja, but I guess somewhere they still have like their traditions that they were all taught and kept alive pretty well. And I've taken at least one class from John, and it was more of like an MMA setting, but it was really cool just like seeing everyone just like quietly lurking around the mat waiting for him to start, and there's like no clear start time. It's just like
Correct.
whenever he's ready.
Correct.
So I feel like at Gracie Baja, it's probably like on time, stick to the schedule.
Mm.
No, still
Depends
Brazilian time.
Depends on which one you go to.
That's funny.
What are there any particular like habits or anything like that you've taken from when you started at Gracie Baja and carried on throughout the different gyms you trained at?
Good question. Nothing top of mind comes to me really right now, but I think my fundamentals have always been really strong, and I noticed that when I went to coach for a training friend of mine. She was competing at white belt for the first time, and it's like she was in like, you know, side control bottom and didn't know how to escape from that. And I thought you should, you know, like the Gracie Baja hip, you know, like the elbow escape, that's what John calls it, or like the,
Yeah.
you know, the hip bump, shrimp escape, you know, things like that. Just I'm glad that I had that foundation before working with John,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know how else I would have learned those things other than just, you know, kind of along the way,
Yeah.
or rolling with other people, you know.
I feel that as like a coach, that people that start like the way you did at Gracie Baja ultimately makes you like an easier student to coach for the long term.
Mm,
Because like it's easier to take away all the traditions and stuff, but I do think that they start beginners at a really good spot and actually do build them up. I think that it would probably get more boring as you hit like blue and purple belt at Gracie Baja, but I can say from my end, like I at least kind of know what you know coming into it, whereas like people that are at like 10th planet, they might know how to do like a truck roll and a vaporizer knee bar, but they don't know like basic stuff, you know?
right. And then there's the different names of things that,
Yeah.
you know, like I don't really know what the truck stop,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
that is. It's like,
Oh, you know about like
cool.
the extent of like 10th planet names?
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
There's a sandwich somewhere. I know there's something about
there's a ham
sandwich.
sandwich.
Let's go.
Yeah, there's the ham
Okay.
sandwich. You got like crackhead control, and you got like the zombie. I mean, Eddie has
Oh, I love
renamed
it.
almost everything, including all of his funky submissions that are just kind of like obscure,
I
weird
think
10th
that's cool.
planet stuff. he's got names for all that, but then he also has like his own names for stuff that other places, other sports just have a different name for the thing. So yeah, like if you can speak 10th planet, then it actually does make sense. But if you can't, then you're just hearing all these crazy words.
Yeah.
Did you experience any of that with the difference between Gracie Baja to training with Danaher, where there was like a different way of describing things?
Not really. I mean, learning the Japanese terms with, after some repetition that got into my brain.
Yeah.
But
I like slowly adopted them. I feel like whenever B Team and New Wave came to town, I just started like picking up on it from basically coaching side by side, right? Going to competitions and seeing athletes go, B Team and New Wave athletes, and hearing their coach and then watching what they're doing and just kind of like reverse engineering everything. And then over time I became like a Japanese name coach. Where like I use a lot of them now. And I mean, I guess like you said, from like YouTube videos of John, I definitely picked up a lot from there. I think the funny thing is like, I guess these guys are, John's from New Zealand, and then a bunch of his guys are like from New York, and they're like various English accents saying Japanese words. Cause I don't have like a super Texas accent, but I have enough that like I call like sase, like saucy. It's like, I have no idea how to say that word in Japanese or with a Japanese accent, but it's saucy to me,
Society?
You said students coming from Gracie Baja are ultimately easier to train, right?
Yeah, generally.
Coming in like from fundamentals. How different do you think it would have been for me? Because I basically have been training under him my whole entire, like, since I started jiu-jitsu, and all I know is Fight Factory for the most part.
I think for you would have gotten bored more quickly, because I doubt they would let you even like roll for a while. And as far as I remember, you were probably like rolling on like at least your first week at Fight Factory, if not your first day.
I remember rolling first day. Shout out Jonathan.
Dude, because if I had you in my class now on your first day looking at you, you'd be like, yeah, you're fighting today, because like you're like a jacked guy. So I'm not like super worried that you're going to get hurt. So I think at Fight Factory, you got thrown straight into it. That's probably what got you hooked. Whereas like a Gracie Baja, maybe like going too slow for too long might make you just kind of like burn out.
Yes, I'm not trying to do jump.
But it'd be great if he had actually had some fundamentals.
Yeah, keep dreaming.
All right. I mean, we're kind of all over the place, but you at least like dropped that you work as a physical therapist now, and then you mentioned the Pilates earlier. I got a kick out of this, and I think Wiko will too. Is the guy that started Pilates, Joseph Hubertus Pilates.
Pilates, yes.
Pilates, a German guy.
Yeah.
Moved to New York, started his thing in like the 20s. But he's a big lover of names, so I'm sure he'll
Hubertus.
Audio fixate
I should
on
throw
that.
that into my, I don't know, my marketing or something maybe, huh?
Yeah.
Authentic Pilates from Joseph
And
Hubertus Pilates.
What caught my attention is this guy allegedly was a circus performer and a boxer, and I always find stuff like that really cool. Of like, I've spent most of my life working in like combat sports. Most of that's just coaching jiu-jitsu. But it's really cool seeing something that's like a fitness, I don't know, method, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
That started by someone else that was like in the combat sports world. And that never surprises me, because I feel like people that are like looking for the highest human performance, there's always some like relationship to martial arts or combat. Yeah.
True. Yes. It's a little known fact that it's named after a man named Joseph Hubertus Pilates, right? And he actually called it contrology.
Yeah.
The study of control. It's a mouthful, contrology.
That's tight.
But
that should be what jiu-jitsu is called.
I mean, it's true. But you're controlling somebody else. Yeah. That's really good. It's a good point.
Oh, God.
It's a good point. But yeah, it's all about controlling your body and your breath. So the 6 main principles of Pilates is centering, concentration, control, flow, and precision, and breathing. And those are all things you need in jiu-jitsu or like any fighting like sport, right? And so that's why I opened my own practice a little over a year ago now. because I was just tired of working in a clinic and not really being able to work with patients the way that I wanted to work with them because you're limited by time and insurance, etc. So, I was like, well, there's plenty of jiu-jitsu athletes here in Austin,
Yeah.
Contrologists.
contrologists, yes,
That are
and
broken.
that are broken. Yeah. I mean, my niche is the middle-aged jiu-jitsu athlete
Hell yeah.
and incorporate Pilates as well because, I've been teaching that since like 2008. So, it's a great complement. It's a great tool to have when rehabbing, but that also giving people a great movement and like core foundation for any sport or any activity that you want to do.
Is it pretty dependent on the equipment to do Pilates? Like I can do yoga in my living room, just throw it on a mat.
Mm-hmm.
Is there as much to do in Pilates by yourself, or does it really help to have all of like the crazy contraptions I see?
I mean, it helps, but there is the Pilates mat routine, and I teach a core mobility class every Friday at Vow.
Shut up.
Okay.
Plug.
Nice.
And it's a Pilates based class, and we don't use very much equipment at all. We just use like the belt and maybe like a block, but you can do it with nothing. But you have to know how to use your body, right? And the equipment is there to help you learn how to work your body without the equipment.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
It kind of like
yeah.
plugs you into your core like automatically. Like it's harder to mess it up.
Then it just like isolates more one muscle at a time, I imagine.
It's not isolating muscles actually. It's working your whole fascial system together as an orchestra. Like you want your body to move, especially as a fighter, to move like an orchestra, like a symphony. Like every little muscle fiber has to fire at the right time in the right like time during the motion. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So there's also something called like core coordination. And that's what Pilates really helps you with is coordinating how do I use my core. Like I get people all the time that are like, oh, I have a really strong core. I can do like, toes to bar, from hanging from a bar, lifting your toes up to your fists. But yet they can't do a lot of the Pilates work because it's just a different way of moving your body,
One of the
It's how you kind of have to experience it.
Yeah, I need to try it.
Yeah.
yeah, you do. Fuck
Yeah,
up,
you just
bro.
tried it recently,
Yeah,
right?
it's dope. It's dope. I love it.
It's fun.
One of the best compliments I've ever received, or at least the one that I thought was the most flattering, was somebody told me that I move well, and I was like,
yes.
In like the Pilates class.
in jiu-jitsu.
Oh.
In jiu-jitsu.
That's
And in lifting, because like there's a lot of like movements that have a lot going on, and yeah, I don't know, it's just it was nice.
Yeah. And Pilates, the movements in Pilates are based in gymnastics. And so, even like John Danaher and, fitness experts in general say gymnastics is the best way. Like if you're going to like, groom your child or something to become like an athlete, start them in gymnastics.
Yes, 100%.
Right? You've heard that, right? So a lot of us adults, we can't go back in time and do gymnastics as kids,
Yeah.
but you can do Pilates, and it's still like gymnastics based, and it helps you move really, really well.
Eso we go!
I am going to my first gymnastics class tonight.
Oh, no way.
Really?
Yeah,
Where?
That's awesome.
I think it's called like Austin Elite Gymnastics or something like that. It's like stupid far, like Lakeway or something.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll see. I don't know.
I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, I can't wait
We'll
to
see.
see you do a backflip.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
You-
I'm saying. All I
you-
want to do, I'm going because I saw Matty Graps go out there, and I was like, "That's sick!" And he's like, "Come through." All I want to do is I just want to do a backflip. He's
Dude,
like,
I think
he's like,
with-
you can do a
with-
backflip
You
in
do.
5 minutes.
For sure you could. As
I'm
a former
terrified.
gymnastics coach, I'm telling you, you could definitely do a backflip
Oh,
in like
wow.
5 minutes if you had the right cueing.
I'm gonna full send, break myself, and I'll see you later.
How How do you think that? Because the way when I think of Pilates, I think of like suburban moms going to get a workout, right? So how did it get this reputation
Yeah. I
as
know.
like that type of like a fitness model? And then what needs to happen to get like combat sports guys like me to go try it?
Yeah. I feel you on that. And this is what I'm trying to like, this is partially my mission in life to counter this whole idea that Pilates is for rich housewives that want
Yeah.
to look good naked. Like,
Yeah.
seriously. But that's what it is. That's what it is.
I mean,
Let's be real.
hey, ain't nothing
But
wrong with
how
trying to look good
did it
naked.
become that way? It became that way partially back in the day when Joseph Pilates moved to the United States. He was in New York City at the time, and he opened his studio in the same building as the New York City Ballet. I believe it was the New York City Ballet. And so a lot of the injured dancers would go and train with Pilates. And then the dance community just kind of took it over the years. It kind of got passed down through dancers.
Man, and that's now 100 years ago. That's crazy.
Wow, it is.
Dang.
Yeah.
1926.
Yeah.
Good call. Yeah,
Wow.
that was when he came over.
So what do we do now to make it more inviting for the bro science guys of the world?
Well, I'm doing my best.
Okay.
Like I said, I mean, I have my class, which is all men, actually. There's like very few females that come to my class. So props to those guys.
Yeah.
And it's just trying it out, really. You know, it's hard. It's very challenging work. I will say, though, be wary of places that have more than 8 reformers, because those are the places where you're more likely to get injured.
Why is that?
Because there's only one teacher teaching a full class.
Because of the ratio.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
The ratio of teacher to student. And legitimately, I met this one guy. This was years ago. But I met this one guy at some function, and Pilates came up, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I tore my rotator cuff doing Pilates." And I was like, "What? How is that possible?" You know?
Damn.
And he said he was in a big class, and they were doing something standing on the reformer, and he fell off. And when he landed, he broke his fall. He tore his rotator cuff.
Maybe he needs to learn how to break fall.
Yeah. Let's start there.
Yeah.
I think, if I could have a practice that was attached to a jiu-jitsu school, that would be badass.
Yeah.
Then I'd be getting those fighters doing Pilates with me,
Yeah.
and then they would be killing it.
When you're on the mat, even if you're not like a coach, as like a physical therapist and as like a Pilates instructor, do you see that the people in the classes and you can identify oh man, you just need to do some Pilates and that would help your jiu-jitsu movement? You're able to
Completely.
Yeah.
I feel that way even when I'm rolling with someone. I can feel where they're weak. I just have that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally. I mean, it can benefit everybody. It's a very unique form of fitness. I'll put it that way. And it's unique because of the spring resistance, right? The springs are what we use in Pilates for the resistance instead of weights. And you're at your cellular level, the unit that's actually contractile in your muscle, that protein, is shaped like a spring. So it makes sense to use springs to give your body feedback for movement.
And that would say if it's doing something like stretching, it's getting the more force at the end of the stretch too, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. And you build resilience and strength and stability at the end ranges of all of your joints. So think your shoulder, for example, you're in a Kimura, right? And maybe you have a tight shoulder, or maybe even you're flexible, but you're not stable in your flexibility, right? But if you have that Pilates work behind you and you have that foundation of stability and mobility, then you can escape your Kimura, just kind of build in whatever escape you want. It makes you much more robust as a fighter.
Can we break down difference between stability and mobility? Because I know a lot of folks can get it confused and things like that.
Between stability and mobility? Mm-hmm. So stability is just the ability to have, you can move one body part keep one body part still while moving the other body part. Right. And this happens all the time in Pilates where like, say I'm like keeping my trunk really solid in one position, but I'm moving my arms in my full range.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But you need that stability before you can have mobility. So we'll take the shoulder for as the perfect example. Imagine people doing those shoulder stretches against a wall, right? Where they're reaching their arms up on the wall. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of times people will like arch their back to get their arm up on the wall. But then there's actually no shoulder mobility happening there because they're not stable in their trunk, right? They got to keep their trunk stable and so keep it on the wall, right? Keep your spine and trunk on the wall while you're moving your arm back to create that mobility in your shoulder while you have stability in your trunk, aka your core.
Gotcha.
Does that answer the question, you think?
For sure. So what different types of, like, are there particular movements that you can do to like increase stability in certain, body parts and mobility? Is it something that you can do both at the same time, or whenever you're working something you should focus on, oh, I'm working on stability of my core or stability of, like, I don't know, I got knee issues, right? So trying to button that up. Versus I'm sorry, should you do like focus on one at a time, like I'm working on stability of this right now, and not do, like, I don't know, both? Right? Is that a valid thing? Or is it possible to do both? Or
yeah, I see what you're saying. It's always going to depend on the person, really, and what their constitution is. Like, do they tend to be more mobile, or do they tend to be more stiff? Right? But I will say you have to excuse me, you have to move your limbs. Say we're working on trunk stability, right? You have to then kind of move your limbs, arms or legs, to challenge the stability of your trunk. And then vice versa. Say I'm working on my hip mobility or my hip stability, right? Then I have to do the opposite. Does that make sense?
I think so.
So, because I'm not understanding your question correctly.
So for stability, for stability, the goal is to keep something tight when keep something like tight or stable under like external pressures, right? So I'm thinking of say you have like a kettlebell on a resistance band, and you're just walking with it in kind of like a weight or carry, right? So you have the kettlebell. Each step you take, the kettlebell is like bouncing, right? And it's wanting to kind of bend you over, right?
Yes.
So every time you take a step and you're marching, would that be considered like a stability movement? Because you're working your core to stay tight and upright?
Exactly.
Is
yes.
that correct?
It would be a stability exercise. Yes.
And mobility would be the wall, like shoulder stretch, right? We're trying to move that and extend that range while keeping everything else, like, without cheating or something like that.
Correct. Right? Maintaining stability. So you need both, right? And most injuries happen because you have too much of one or the other. Like you're too stiff or you're too unstable. Like too stable being stiff, right? Or too mobile, right? And the great thing about Pilates is that it balances out all of those things in your entire body.
I was on the Reformer. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Reformer. I was on the Reformer with her like a week or two ago or something like that. She was having me do some I don't know what it was. It was like a pike. Yeah, it was a pike. Right, on the Reformer. And you know about my ab cramps.
Right.
They were singing, bro. It was rough. I get like these really weird like individual ab just like locks up. And I was pretty close to crying.
Maybe you could use some diaphragm release.
I thought you were going to say hydration.
or hydration, but Yeah, you might need some. You might be having some tightness in your abdominal wall.
We can
Yeah.
explore that.
Yeah, we joke a lot about how we're like a yin and yang,
Uh-huh.
right? There's
Uh-huh.
hair and no
No
hair
hair.
No.
on the same kind of spectrum. Like I love that you pair like the stiffness with stability, because sometimes I work with stiff people and they like want to be so mobile, and I'm like, look, yeah, you're stiff, but you're so stable. And there's in grappling, there's like a payoff for both of those, where
Mm-hmm.
he is in some cases very stiff but super stable. I'm hypermobile. So I
Mm-hmm.
struggle with stability really badly, but I'm long, lanky, and super flexible, so I can contort into all sorts of crazy positions. But I
Right.
get injured all of the time, and I'm definitely like your classic patient, or like ideal jujitsu patient, because I've been
Uh-huh.
doing it for so long and I've always been hypermobile. So that's just
Mm-hmm.
caused injuries throughout my entire career.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Man
can
is
see how
broken.
we'll talk more after, but like my specific issues, and I definitely could see how you could help me. But more importantly, just that distinction that like I don't think all stiffness is bad because of the stability that it can create.
Oh, I agree with you. I
Yeah.
agree with you. But, there's like, to me, there's like two types of people in the world: people that have a stiff lower back and more mobile hips, or they have stiff hips and a too flexible back. Right? It's too mobile in their lower back. And so like you have to, and that's the center of your body, your hips and your lower
Yeah.
back, and your pelvis, right? So the lumbopelvic girdle, right? And so that's where you got to stabilize from. And that's what Pilates does. It evens out the balance, or imbalance that somebody might have there.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't ever tried it before, and it's not because I'm like embarrassed to try it and because it's like a hot mom kind of workout. It just in the paths I've crossed, I've never come across someone like you that's like in the jujitsu world that does it and encourages it or something like that.
Yes,
Because I'm pretty
yes.
much always willing to try out new things,
So,
but I think it'd be really good for me because I do care so much about flexibility and mobility. But I know where I'm lacking. And for me personally, I would benefit a lot more from the stability side.
mm-hmm.
Whereas my counterpart here, I think, has plenty of stability, definitely
Right.
could increase his mobility.
Yes. And
You
for
know?
people like you that are more mobile, you're not going to lose your flexibility doing Pilates, but you're going to gain stability within your mobility. If that
And
makes
that's
any
that's
sense.
what I've struggled so much with different methods of like strength training, is that like
Mm-hmm.
in certain things I just cannot overcome the flexibility factor, where as I get stronger on things I lose so much flexibility and then I end up stretching it back out and it feels like I almost lose the strength again.
Mm-hmm.
And that also just goes into like the style of jiu-jitsu that I'm doing, where like the more rounds I'm doing I just seem to like devolve back to that jiu-jitsu state of like super flexible hips but very tight, because my knees are always pulled up to my chest and my back's super rounded.
Yes. I know. I know the archetype.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I feel like when you say like your 2 points, that's kind of how I look at like the jiu-jitsu athletes that I see too, where it's like, okay, everyone's in one of those two categories. For me, for you talking about like hips and lower back, I'm like, all right, you either need more mobility or more stability,
Mm-hmm.
because there's very few people out there. Like we mentioned the Rotolos earlier. I don't know exactly what their training methods are, but they're definitely in principle what you described, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are
Balanced.
extremely strong and balanced at the absolute end range of motion. They're one of the most flexible jiu-jitsu athletes that can still move people at those end ranges,
Mm-hmm.
whereas like people like me, I'm flexible and I can get bent all sorts of ways, but the strength in certain positions just completely goes away,
Yeah.
you know?
What are some of the most common issues you've seen like grapplers come in to you for help with? Like, is it like lower back, neck?
Yeah. So for me, it's been necks. A lot of neck injuries.
Yeah.
In fact, somebody reached out to me this morning before I came over about their
Yeah.
neck. And it's funny because I'll ask John too. I was like, John, like, what are the most common injuries you've seen? And he never mentioned neck. It was always like knees, lower back, shoulders. But I think in my experience, definitely neck by far is number one, and shoulder and knees. Those are the big three for me that I
For
see.
for neck injuries, I'm sure everything's like different depending on the circumstances and all, but is it do you think it would be accurate to say that it would help if people like strength train their neck. I don't know. I know.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But not in the way that a lot of people already do.
Yeah.
A lot of people use like the iron neck,
It's the first thing I thought
right?
of. Yeah.
Which is fine. It's okay. It's not. I'm not gonna say don't use the iron neck. It's like it's all right, but you got to think about it. Like your neck is part of your entire body. Okay, so it's not detached. You know, we can't detach your neck from your spine, for example. So you have to work your whole body. So you just having like core, like true core strength, which means core coordination, in various relationships to gravity, is number one. And so what I normally teach people is also like a deep neck flexor exercise that also includes your whole core. So the deep neck flexors are just muscles that are like they're right in the very front of your spine. And the iron neck does not work the deep neck flexors. And those are the stabilizers of your neck. So those are the main ones that you want to strengthen. So to do that's a whole other different kind of process to teach people how to do, because oftentimes people will cheat by using their larger neck muscle, the sternocleidomastoid muscle here, right? That you can kind of grab onto. Sternocleidomastoid, or SCM for short.
Oh, that was in here.
Because
That
it's
was sick.
sternum, right? Yeah. Mastoids here. Okay. So anyways, yeah, the neck, it's an art teaching how to strengthen the neck, because you can't just give somebody a generic exercise and then be like, okay, go home and do this, because oftentimes they're going to be compensating and not doing it properly.
I have 2 generic exercises that I do
Tell me.
for my neck. Please judge me.
No.
I take a resistance band, tie it on like a pull-up bar or whatever, hold it out here. I put my feet basically underneath the pull-up bar, put that thing on my head, and then I lean at like 45. And then I'm there for 2 minutes. Mostly just like isolated. Sometimes I'll do like, kind of roll around if it gets a little hot,
Yeah.
And then I'll turn over, and then I do the same thing, but leaning backward, 45. 2 minutes. Those are my 2 generic.
I actually like that. Now, where do you
Let's go!
Where do you feel the exercise? So when you're yes,
I won!
where you could also do it to the side.
Don't be crazy. Calm down.
You decide. But when you're doing it from the front, where do you feel the work in your neck? Do you feel it more on the sides or more in the front, or both?
I feel it in my sternocleidomastoids. They get very.
You just
lit
wanted
up.
to say that word.
I wanted to try it. Damn it.
Because ideally, you would feel it like right where your Adam's apple is.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll know that you're working more the deep neck flexors.
I would say yes, because I was gonna say the abs of my neck, and I feel
Yeah.
like that's
The core of your neck.
Yeah,
It is the
my
core of
neck
your neck.
abs.
Yeah, your neck
I can
abs.
vouch for him that this definitely works, because like we'll do like, say if someone's trying to work on some kind of strangle in the gym, he'll be like the final boss of if you can do it right, because he's so hard to strangle because of his neck and shoulders. So whatever he's doing is definitely helping, because he's like the hardest guy, one of the hardest guys in
Really?
the gym to choke.
Really?
Yeah.
But what about my little arms? My little arms can get right underneath
They
the
can
chin.
get in there.
They can get in there, though.
That's how I feel. I think it works better. Right?
Yeah.
It's like more pressure, less surface area.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm glad I passed.
Yeah.
I feel good about it now.
Yeah.
You mentioned a few injuries from Pilates. Like, it doesn't seem that dangerous, but
I know.
do people get hurt
I
doing it?
guess.
I disagree.
I was so surprised.
Yeah. So
I
it's
was
not
like,
super
what?
common for you to deal with injuries. You're mostly like
Not from Pilates.
building people
no.
up, rehabbing
But
them.
I mean, for me, I everything I do is one-on-one. So there's no way someone's like gonna get
Yeah.
injured on my watch, But yeah, I don't think it's that uncommon though. Does that make sense? It probably happens more than we think it does.
Yeah. Well, and your point of like anytime you have like sport or just like group exercise and like where the instructor to student ratio gets skewed too far, like it could be anything and it's going to result in some accidents and things like that.
Very true.
Is there a ratio that you think is too much? You mentioned like 1 to 8 is way too much.
That would
Do
be
you
my
think
limit.
1 to 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Oftentimes I'll have people come to me for like a few Pilates sessions so that they can then go to a group's class setting, because that way they know
Feel better
what
about
their
it.
own, yeah, they kind of know what to do. They know the lingo, they know what their body needs, because everyone's cue is going to be different. It's not like everyone needs the same cue, the same correction.
So would you say now, like, what you provide is kind of like a blend between your past experience as like a Pilates instructor and then going to physical therapy school, and then like since you're trying to work with jiu-jitsu people, kind of like your experiences there are all kind of coming together?
Yeah, it's a whole amalgamation.
That's
It's
cool.
a whole, yeah, coming. And I'm working on something new potentially. From uh-huh.
Nothing.
Well,
Sorry. I said,
Addie,
hey,
Addie,
hey.
hey. Well, it stems from my own personal experience with mental health, actually.
Okay.
So I've had 3 manic episodes in my life. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder back in 2017.
Okay.
And it happened after I had graduated from physical therapy school, which was a very horribly stressful experience. I don't know why they make it so stressful for students, but they do. I don't know. And it's across the board, like all PT schools, even some chiro schools, they make it really stressful. Anyway, I had graduated and I was studying for the board exam to get licensed in Texas. And 2 days before my board exam, I could not sleep. I had gotten insomnia. And it was very unusual for me. I was always a really good sleeper. I would, 5 or 10 minutes after hitting the pillow and I would be asleep. But for whatever reason, my brain wouldn't turn off, right? And I took the board exam. Luckily, I ended up passing, but I also proceeded to then not sleep for like 7 days.
Whoa.
Yeah. I was staying with my parents at the time, thank goodness, because I was trying to save money during grad school. And eventually they took me to a hospital because I was just Looney Tunes. I thought my brother and I were psychic. I was like calling out stuff with my mom and dad. Like I would have these like huge like bouts of anger. And I was always a very, excuse me, I was always a very chill person. Yeah, calm kid, whatever. But now, having had 3 of these manic episodes, and they all had a kind of different themes to them. Like the first one was all about how we're on screens all the time and no one talks to each other in public. And like, no wonder it's hard to find, a partner or, meet new friends or whatever the case may be. And like, these are all themes that hold true now. Right?
Sure.
Like we could talk about that. And now AI is happening. That was my most recent manic episode. Yeah.
AI.
I don't blame
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can laugh about it now, but believe me, it wasn't very funny at the time. Yes, it's not fun to be, locked up in a mental health institution, but I don't blame you for laughing. It is, I'm thankful that I can laugh about it now, but like, yeah, like you go to these like mental health institutions and they're checking on you every 10 minutes to make sure that you're still, there or alive or whatever. And then they ask you like, okay, well, have you been sleeping? And it's like, well, no, because you keep waking me up every 10 minutes, like
yeah.
opening the door. Like, how am I supposed to get any sleep in here? Or they'll ask, have you been taking your medication? And I'm like, well, you ask the nurse that. Pretty sure they wrote that down in their in their documentation. Like, why are you asking me facts? Like, you're asking me the wrong questions. This is not helpful to me. Are you trying to figure out if I'm like telling the truth or not? Like, what's the bottom line here? So anyway, it got to me to really look deeper into spirituality and energy work, because I experienced a lot of that kind of during my manic episodes. And I also have realized from my years as a physical therapist, I've been practicing since 2017, that not all physical injuries are due to physical problems. Like some physical injuries are due to emotional problems, right? Or spiritual problems. And we know this because, the fascia, which is that connective tissue that really touches every part of your body, your bones, your nervous system, your vessels, your organs, including your heart. It connects directly to your spinal cord and brain. So we know that, you can store emotions in your tissues, right? You have issues in your tissues, right? Y'all have heard that before? Oh, please, you've heard that one
My
before.
running joke is I store all my emotions in my muscles, and that's why I lift so much.
Well,
I don't go to therapy.
there you
I
go.
just lift.
Exactly.
You look
Damn it, Shelley.
you look great. So-
You look amazing. Yes, exactly. So I'm looking into treating something called the biofield. Have you heard of this before?
You said treating?
Treating the biofield, yes.
I am not familiar at all.
Your
I'm so
biofield,
excited.
you could think of it as maybe your aura.
Okay.
But we as human beings, we emit things called biophotons, which is basically like light. And we have an energy field surrounding us. Like we know we have electromagnetic field, right? Like your heart has an electromagnetic field. Yeah, we know this, right? We can accept this idea, right?
Yeah.
So therefore our bodies have an electromagnetic field, which is also related to our biofield, right? And so for somebody like me, I'm 42 years old. My biofield is probably like 6 feet away from me, maybe 6 to 8 feet away from me. And this comes from Eileen McCusick's work with tuning forks. And she has treated thousands and thousands of clients and has found patterns in their biofields. So what you'll do is you'll like click on this tuning fork and it'll have a auditory vibration, and you comb it through someone's biofield or their space, right? And the idea is you can detect maybe something that's happened to me 20 years ago would be halfway to my body.
Sick.
So in the 20s, maybe I have that traumatic event in my 20s, and you would hear that change in the tuning fork as you
That's
come
tight.
through their biofield. It's interesting. I know it makes you kind of think, oh, woo-woo. It's very woo-woo. However, there are some studies about the biofield that we know that we have a biofield. We all do. And you can feel it in somebody. Like you can feel when somebody has good vibes or like vibes that don't
100%.
really, mesh
Yeah.
with your vibes.
Yeah.
And you can feel it from across the room even,
We use that word so much, like vibes.
Vibes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like all the time.
Yes.
And like we'll check in with each other on like how are the vibes doing today,
Yeah.
depending on like what we need to do.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
oftentimes I'll pull up here, bring the case, getting everything started. This morning, I was listening to, I'd be singing a lot on the mats, in the car, in the shower,
I love
everywhere,
it.
right? So on the way over here, I was singing Bee Gees and Les Mis
Wow.
on the way over here. And generally, whenever I get out, he has this like, oh shit, talk about vibes, right? He has this fucking thing where he just like senses my presence. So
It's a thing.
I'll
This
pull up.
This is quantum physics right here.
Fucking go.
Yeah.
He just senses my presence. I get out the truck and he opens the door. I'm like, how do you do that every time?
That's amazing.
It's insane. So
I love it.
yeah, typically when I get out, I'd be like, vibes is high. Vibes is high, Davis. We're doing good.
Yeah.
Vibes is high.
And there's even like the in between us, but then it's also like you said, like you can walk into a room or meet someone new, and then I'll be like,
And you're like,
bad vibes, dude.
ugh.
That guy's
Totally.
got bad vibes, and it's like not,
Totally.
Shout out vibes.
it's a
Vibes.
combination of like a lot of things.
Mhm.
Could be posture, tone, whatever.
Completely.
But I mean,
Biofield, bro.
when you were talking, when you were
Right,
just describing
Biofield.
the biofield, like I feel like there's just like all these different tools, like different ohmeters of something, right? So you have
Mhm.
like a thermometer and like I guess some of the kind of in the branch of like facial recognition software is now doing like your thermal print. So it's like another way of like just measuring that
Oh, for
individual
real?
kind of heat signature from a person. And like, I don't know if you've seen it, Whole Foods, they got like the palm reader. That's like these
Yes.
other ones where it's like, I feel like the Biofield sounds like a combination of all those measurable things, but as like the whole, right? Yeah. So that definitely makes sense. As for my sixth sense for knowing when people are at my house, I don't know. I feel like I've always kind of been that way.
Yeah.
I get the same thing with my brother. I'm like,
Yeah.
he's home.
I love
But it's
that.
also like real life cues where like the dog perked its head up 30 seconds before
Right.
I did. So I'm like,
Right.
the dog notices something.
Yes.
Somebody's here.
You're a very
Exactly.
well calibrated orometer.
Oh,
You are.
It's
Antenna.
it's like gaydar.
There you go. There you go.
How 90s of you. I love that.
In jiu-jitsu, people make a lot of jokes, but we actually are around a lot of gay people all the time.
Are you?
Well, there's a lot of
Maybe my gaydar is not very high. I don't know.
well, especially here in Austin and like the teams that you mentioned, you have a lot of like outwardly homophobic energy that I think comes across that way, but deep down there's like something messing with their aura, you know?
Yes.
So I think like the rampant gay jokes in the jiu-jitsu community are like at a certain point non-ironic. You know what I mean? Because it's like the whole thing with jiu-jitsu is gay, and B Team was
Yeah.
making the Keep Jiu-Jitsu Gay shirts and stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. And you know, you mentioned very briefly at the beginning of like being a woman in jiu-jitsu. I'm not convinced that
Yes.
making gay jokes all the time makes it a more like inclusive or like just better environment for everyone. You know, like I don't think, because like there's also gay dudes that train, and I'm sure like
Yeah.
the general jujitsu attitude towards gay dudes is like pretty negative.
I would
And-
assume so.
yeah, and having that same attitude, I just
Yeah.
don't think that like generally makes people more welcome and comfortable on the mat.
Yeah, I think they probably have to be more secretive or feel like they need to be more secretive about it, which is unfortunate.
It is. It's kind of like the other end of like Pilates being like a hot mom workout thing.
Yeah.
Where like it for a while, jujitsu was like an aggressive bro thing, but like
Mm-hmm.
neither of those things are true. you know?
Yes. Yes.
So you could have big guys doing Pilates. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've mentioned
I
this like
love Pilates.
twice now, but like I'm teaching kids. It used to be mind blowing to have a girl in a class. Like, oh my gosh, there's a girl in kids class. That's awesome.
Oh,
There's
really?
no women in the adult classes. Now I've got more girls than boys on several days a week. That can happen.
That's great.
You know, so it's like with at least the youth, it's completely flipped, and that's why I care so
Yeah.
much, because like one day the girls from the kids class are going to grow up. I want to make sure that they go into adult classes that are good, healthy environments for them. You know,
Yes,
it's
for
such a
sure.
such a tricky field to navigate.
Yeah. I mean, on that note, I had actually a fabulous experience this past Friday and Saturday.
Where
I went to Val Friday, and
Shout out Val.
shout out Val. I taught my class, and then I stayed for the class afterward,
nice.
and just had really great rolls with the guys. It was like everything was like appropriate resistance and force, like all cool. And then on Saturday, went to Kingsway, and I rolled with this, or I drilled with this one guy there. I'd never met him before, but he was completely delightful, like probably in his 20s, but you know, bigger, stronger. But we kind of experimented together during the drill, and we kind of helped each other through like some sticky points when we trained. It was amazing. I had like nothing but good experiences.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
It's how it should be.
it's how it should be.
Yeah.
True, and that is the case for me most of the time. I have had by far positive experiences dealing with men. You know, I can count on one hand the amount of bad experiences I've had in 8 years. So
That's awesome.
that's good.
So going back a step, when we got to the biofield, you were talking about doing something new, something related to like
Yeah.
the mental
Yes,
health part.
I'm gonna getting back into treating the biofield with these tuning forks.
Okay.
With vibration, because we know that, and I say we, I mean like the scientific community knows that there's been research studies about how fascia reacts to vibration,
Okay.
including like sound bowls or singing bowls, because most of our body, we're made of water, right? And not only it's not only just water, it's charged water. It's ionized, or they call it easy water, or it stands for the exclusion zone, which is a space just inside of the cell where water organizes as what I call it is like a liquid crystal formation, because the water forms a hexagonal structure. But liquid crystal is just a fancy way of saying gel-like. Okay. Because I was like liquid crystal, like what the fuck is that? You know? Like, seriously, it's a gel. Okay.
Okay.
But it's a fourth state of water, and it's organized through vibration or through grounding, like, you know, putting your feet on the earth, or through even like light, like, you know, doing like red light therapy can help a lot with that. So I'm excited to be able to, you know, eventually treat the biofield and treat people's pain, like their physical, you know, ailments that they're having through this different modality, right? Not just through physical therapy or Pilates. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
kind of just treating the whole person more so.
Yeah, I've I started doing physical therapy with a physical therapist back in September, and we've made some really great breakthroughs. But I think like the biggest one, I went for my neck as a grappler.
See?
And I think one of the biggest breakthroughs was like slightly emotional, just in the sense of like he eventually got me to the point where he was like, dude, just go train. Your neck is going to be fine. You fuck it up, I'll help you out. We'll do what we can to like try to make it better. But like basically just giving me a more of a confidence boost that had little to do with the work we had done. You know, I can see the changes in what the therapy's done for me, but there was probably no bigger change than just like my mindset shift. You know,
Completely.
So I could tell for myself, like I've chronic pain all the time, but at least like from after that conversation, I have had some really fun rolls that I was kind of holding myself back from for a while, because I had that kind of like injury scar tissue where I was like, oh, if I do anything, it's going to come right back again, and I'm not going to be able to move my head.
Yes. And the neck, you know, it's a very vulnerable part of the body, right? Like you have a lot of vital things going through your neck, like your carotid arteries that you know, feeds your brain oxygen, right? And, you know, I've treated a few, you know, higher profile people over the years, even like before I started my practice. Anna Mayadorma was one of them. Shout out to Anna. Love you.
Absolute savage.
Absolute savage. Now I give her all of the credit for recovering. She did all of the work. You know, she will tell me that I, you know, helped her career or whatever, but, you know, she did it all. But it's a very emotional thing to have your neck injured.
Yeah.
And that is part of the job as a physical therapist sometimes, is to, you know, give people hope and be like, you know, like it's going to be okay. You know, like you can step off the curb. But it's understandable that people have these fears of, you know, getting re-injured, like getting a setback.
Yeah, I've been thankful that I've trained for 17 years and my knees are still good. You know,
Good.
But I have done something to every other part of my body possible, you know? So, I went to this physical therapist for my neck and ended up doing more shoulder stability and hip work. And that's ultimately what's gotten my neck better. Cause we can't really work on the neck in isolation anyway. Correct. So, I really understand where you're coming from on the stability thing, because that's a lot of like what he's having me try to work on. And I'm getting like at least closer to the source of the problem of like understanding what that instability really feels like, especially like one side to another, where like my right shoulder is relatively stable, especially compared to the left. And now I'm like doing exactly what we described earlier of like hold the core tight and then move the arm, versus like I can move my arm all over the place. I'm hypermobile. But if I actually engage my core right, it's like a much more limited range of motion that actually has like some real strength behind it. Going back even further, what you said Pilates, weightlifting, 2008, finishing physical therapy school 10 years later. I studied exercise science at the University of Houston, and then I did observation hours with a physical therapist, like in trying to prepare to go to PT school. I realized, like kind of I guess in the clinical setting, that wasn't for me on what I imagine you experienced once you were actually in the clinical setting. But what made you want to start and finish PT school?
Well, it was from being a poor dancer, really. That would probably be the answer. Yeah, from when I was very little, I wanted to be a dancer. I had that dream, ballerina dream. And then once I got to, do more dancing and dancing in college, I really loved modern dance. And so after I graduated from UT, I moved to New York City to dance. And, I became more of a choreographer there as well as a dancer. And that's where I started to learn Pilates. I was trained in New York City with people that trained directly with Joseph Pilates, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So, you had that in New York. You don't have that in Austin, right? So,
Got John Danaher.
hmm?
You got John Danaher.
We do have John Danaher now.
Got
We,
it.
we switched.
Yeah.
The timing, whatever.
Right, but that's like doing jiu-jitsu with Helio Gracie, right? Or
Right.
like doing jiu-jitsu with one of the guys that trained directly with
Yeah.
him.
Right. So, I was living and working in New York City, teaching Pilates, and I was just like, it was a grind. It's a huge grind. I mean, I was like a zombie, and I just living on caffeine. I got like that New York City skinny. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just like walking everywhere, and I got kind of tired of it, and I thought, well, physical therapy is something that I could do for a very long time. I was more interested in movement, so I thought about going back to school and being a medical doctor, but that was just too much schooling and like too much money and too much debt. And I didn't want to treat sick people or have to like make life or death decisions.
Yeah.
So I did my prereqs up in Boston. I had moved from New York to Boston by that time. And and then I moved back to Austin because I by that time I was ready to be back home. I had been gone for 9 years and was just like, you know what, I'm tired of the cold weather and I want to be back in Austin. So I moved back in 2014. And so that I was gone from 05 to 14, which was when Austin really started like blowing up. Like 08 was like really I think when like the tech moved here. When did Google move here? But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know, because like Dell campus is not far from here, and from when I was a
Yes.
kid, I grew up
Dell's
here.
Dell's been here for a long time.
Yeah.
So anyway, so when I moved back, it was just a totally different town. And it's interesting that you bring up finishing physical therapy and all of that because it is a grind working in a clinic as a physical therapist, and you don't feel, at least I didn't feel like I had all of the time and the tools to help people the way that I wanted to, and which is why I had to start my own practice, right? Just to like, but also to make the money that I wanted to make because I was capped out at that point. So it's it's definitely been a process, a journey, and I'm even thinking about potentially not keeping my license as a physical therapist in the state of Texas because it's kind of limiting. Like I can only treat people in Texas, right? Like I can't treat people in other countries or other parts of the state. I have to get licensed in that state, right? So it's a blessing and a curse, I think, too. Like it's both. It's a little bit. I'm deciding that still. I have a couple of years. I just renewed my license this past year, but it can be a bit of a liability.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because back when I was doing observation hours at a physical therapist, this would have been probably 2017, somewhere in that timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that last year in September they had changed it where you can now finally go to a physical therapist without like whatever the doctor, like a prescription, I guess, from one doctor to a physical therapist. So
Who was also a doctor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
maybe for your context, like in Texas up until last September, I couldn't just go to a physical therapist. I had to go to Dr. Juice, and then you could send me to her.
Yeah.
So then you get a whole visit out of it. I've always assumed that was kind of like
Correct.
the lobbying side of it.
And maybe even
was-
some imaging.
Yeah.
Some money for some
Yeah.
imaging. Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is insane because like I just saw a lot of really awkward patient interactions. Like I saw a drug addict go to physical therapy because their doctor had finally said like, I'm not going to write you another script until you go to physical therapy. And then this woman's at physical therapy telling the PT, hey, I'm just here so I can get my drugs. I'm not going to do anything you tell me to do. And I was like, man, this whole system is really messed up.
Crazy.
And then, you know, people like me, I couldn't just like, the guy I was observing with, I couldn't just like go be a patient of his on my own. And I thought that was like ridiculous because I already had like plenty of stuff for him to work on, but I didn't like have that other doctor referral. So I've noticed that that changed.
Well, it changed from 10 days to 30 days, I think.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to say, where it's like, it's a maximum of 30 days. Now, is that any visits within 30 days or like 30, like just time stamped from the first of the month to the 30th?
It's
So,
30 business days.
yeah. And then it also seems like say if I have insurance and now I can go see you as a physical therapist in Texas, my insurance probably won't even cover it in that setting, right? Like without the referral from another doctor.
So for a cash-based practice, you mean? Or for any practice?
I guess for a practice that does take insurance.
So insurance is going to be different for any, like there's no umbrella rule for what does insurance cover PT or not. That's going to depend on their plan.
Right.
But yeah, no, you're absolutely right that it's because the medical association kind of like rules the governing bodies here in Texas. And so the medical doctors would lose out on a lot of money if people could just come to a PT directly.
Yeah.
And that's why the law is the way that it is. But this is not, I mean, it used to be that you had to have a referral no matter what, right? And now we finally got the 30-day thing. Before it was a 10-day time frame where you could see a PT without a referral. So you can come in and see me, I could do an initial evaluation and do like a few sessions over the course of 10 business days, right? And that's not it's not going to get you much.
No.
Right? Then you still have to go get a doctor's referral. But the 30-day thing is better, but not very many people will get better within that time frame. They'll still most of the time need to go see a doctor to get a referral.
Well, and like for the example of the guy I'm seeing, he doesn't do any insurance and it's just like cash based.
Yes, I'm cash based as well, yeah.
Yeah, and it seems for me that was a better option. Where it's like, all right, I'll just pay you for the time I come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, like, does it seem like as a PT, if you want like any kind of freedom, that you kind of have to go into that cash model?
Probably. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I've done. And I will say too, I think it's also better for the client. It's better for the patient because yes, you're having to pay the money up front, but you're getting so much more out of your experience. And because you're paying a higher premium, then you're more likely to actually do the exercises that we're telling you to do. You know, like you're more invested in it and you're going to get a lot more out of it.
Yeah.
And you're going to get better faster. That has been my experience across the board from working in a clinic versus with my clients now. The clients get better so much faster. It's insane.
Yeah. And you had mentioned it earlier of like the ratio of like, you know, a coach or whatever setting to like the patient or athlete. And like, yeah, with mine, I get a guy's undivided attention. He's either cueing me or taking video to show me.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I could not get hurt in those sessions because he is just like super watchful over it. And it definitely seems like that's the way to be.
Now you still have to get a referral for somebody, whether they're cash based or not.
Well, I guess in his case, then maybe he's not even using the physical therapy license anymore. And then it's just like whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a personal kind of rant, but I have more physical therapy questions for you.
Let's all do it. I'm all about personal rants and whatever.
So I'm curious if you care about this at all, because I keep using PT, and when I use PT, I'm referring to a physical therapist, not a personal trainer.
Ah, yes.
As a physical therapist, do you ever feel like personal trainers are trying to market themselves as like a actual DPT by just like blurring the lines on PT?
I don't think so. Okay. I really don't.
It's become like
it doesn't bother me.
That's good to hear, and I should calm down. But I'm always like,
is that a heated thing for you?
Yeah, like not heated, I guess, but I just feel like there is such a massive. I feel like physical therapists are under-respected. Maybe that's the better way to start my position, because like I kind of like worked with one and I really respected him.
Yeah.
And like some personal trainers will tell you to do this similar stuff as a physical therapist, and they can help you with pain sometimes. But I think that sometimes the personal trainers blur the lines way too much and don't stay in maybe their lane, and like putting the respect and just to the general knowledge that like a DPT is going to have over like, I could go get NASM certified on this laptop like in the time of this podcast to be a personal trainer.
That's sad.
I don't know for sure, but I've done some NASM
Probably.
stuff before. It's not very
Probably,
hard.
yeah.
Whereas like, I don't know exactly what you went through for physical therapy school, but it's like, it's a postgraduate thing, right? I don't know how
Yeah.
many
At least
hours
one
of
manic
work you gotta put
episode.
in.
Pretty much went to hell and back.
Yeah.
Physical therapy school.
Yeah.
Well, multiple times at this point. But no, I hear what you're saying. It does. I think there's certain companies, shall we say, that do kind of blur the lines a little bit that are out there. And I do think that in some ways, I don't like calling myself a physical therapist sometimes, because I think there can be a negative connotation with that, because there could be, I think because of how insurance now is like not, it's really an insurance problem, right? Because insurance is not reimbursing properly
Yeah.
for physical therapy.
Yeah.
Then physical therapy clinics have now, in order for them to stay afloat, they have to pack in all the clients. So then, physical therapists are having to see 20 or 30 people a day, which is insane. So it's not the physical therapist's fault necessarily, but it's just it's the whole system is broken, right? And so, but I think I'm not too threatened by it, or I don't have a huge problem with it, because I also know a lot of personal trainers who are highly educated, and I respect their education as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I don't have that. I don't have a problem with it, I guess.
No,
But
that makes sense.
it can get a little blurry out there.
We talked about like technology, and I'm thinking about like this part of the pinky from our phones, but from like a physical therapy perspective, what is happening to our bodies from like all the time on a cell phone, on a screen, or sitting down,
Yeah.
to like the musculoskeletal system?
Yeah. Okay, I don't want to say sitting is bad for you, because it's not that sitting is bad for you. It's just that if you don't do something to counteract the sitting, that's when we run into problems, right? If you're just sitting all of the time and like not doing very much walking, that's the problem. So, we are all, fitness health people. Like we can sit here for, a long time, and that's okay, because we know that we're going to exercise either today or yesterday or tomorrow or whatever, right? And that's good. But yeah, the forward head posture is a problem, because it affects your whole body. And the forward head posture is what we get when we're looking at a screen, especially sitting at a computer or something like that. And that you develop what's called upper cross syndrome, where your muscles in the front are tighter and weak, and then the muscles in the back, like the upper back, for example, are lengthened and weak, but then the muscles in the neck get shortened as well, and the suboccipital muscles get shortened, and so that has, that leads to major posture problems. And poor posture is it can really lead to a bunch of different syndromes, right? It can even affect your organs, right? Because if your organs if you don't have enough space to move and glide and do what they need to do, because your organs move when you move, right? And being sedentary affects also your ability to like have a bowel movement, right? Like it's overall health issue, doing too much sitting or being too sedentary. So, that's why I like to include my, the Pilates work, because it does treat your whole body, and it is very posturally, like it's posture forward, where we're treating your posture so that you can breathe better, right? When we're in a slouch position, we're not going to be able to take a full deep breath, and that's going to affect your diaphragm, which affects your core. I could probably go a long time with this. So it has a lot of repercussions.
I feel like it's going to be some kind of common practice to encourage people to like you said, kind of undo the texting neck, right? Like that's like
Yes.
and then with undoing things, I feel like everything now is like hack it or streamline it and make it as fast as possible. Where I feel like people kind of treat like a lot of health and fitness things that way now as well. So I'm like, I've always had like a drab vision of like the future of exercise and fitness and stuff, because I feel like more people are spending more time on screens, especially kids too. And then I think there will be a voice of reason like, no, if you're going to do that, we got to go do some exercise. But I've had this like very negative view of the future where people will just do the absolute bare minimum to kind of undo all of like the upper cross syndrome and things like that. And I hope that we can still do things that are like fun fitness activities that can help like solve those problems, because everyone's dealing with it. I don't know anybody that doesn't have a phone. Everybody I know is upper crossed, right? So now we're kind of shifting from like, some people may have had that, like a typist used to have it or something, and it was less common. And now it's like every person I know has a forward head.
Yes.
Why is it called upper crossed?
Upper cross syndrome.
Upper cross.
Because if you look at it from the side, right, it's like a cross. Say if I was like looking this way, right, I was looking this way, right, across. The front is shortened and then the back is lengthened.
Okay, gotcha.
Cool. Like if you're looking at a profile view.
Yeah.
So is it
And lower cross would be for hips. So like if you have like a pelvic tilt, that would be a lower cross syndrome.
What would be the common like behavior that would cause that, or something like that?
A lower cross syndrome? It just depends on how your pelvis is tilted.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not really a behavior per se, but if you like sat a lot or something, then you could have like a lower cross syndrome because your hip flexors are tight.
Okay.
Which leads me to another syndrome that I wrote down here because we joked a lot about it, but dead butt syndrome.
Oh yes, glute amnesia.
Yeah.
Dead butt.
That's a real thing?
Yeah, bro.
Glute amnesia.
I was trying to
is a real
explain this to him,
thing.
and I guess like we were just joking about it, but yeah, it's very real.
It's
I
very
feel like
real.
I just came out of dead butt syndrome, where I'm still like struggling through it.
You just came
but-
out of dead butt?
Yeah, I have
Oh,
dead
dang.
butt. Yeah,
It
sucked.
happens. How old are you?
32.
Okay. Yeah. That's
But
about the right time.
I also,
I don't know
I
how
also
you do
think that,
anything
like,
with
again, my point of the style of jiu-jitsu, it's like being a guard player. I feel like that's what
Yeah.
made it worse, was because the way I can get through doing rounds and rounds and rounds of jiu-jitsu and never use my glutes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like
Yeah.
all hip flexors and like tibs, you know?
Tibbs.
Shout out Tibbs.
But
I
yeah, I
know.
feel like all of these things, like now I have different prep work and different things I do throughout the week to try to not have a dead butt, right? And I feel like
Yes.
the human fitness model is just going to shift into like fixing the upper cross and doing the dead butt. And that just sounds really boring. And that's like my concern is like, how can we figure out ways to be
Well, sports.
all the time so that way we don't have to do as much
Yeah.
like
I mean,
opposite and equal kind of work. you know?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do little like movement bits during my day. People call them movement snacks now. There's that term out there. Movement,
like that.
movement snacks.
I
Sounds like
that.
a BuzzFeed
A little
article.
snack.
Hell yeah.
I didn't like using that. I'm just calling it a break, a movement break. Okay.
Yeah, break.
Taking
I'm
a
gonna
break.
just
Break
take a
sounds
break.
good.
But like I'll do like 30 squats, you know, between clients or something. No, if I could only do one exercise forever, and that would be like the only one thing I could do, it'd probably be kettlebell swings,
Nice.
because it gets your posterior chain, which is arguably the most important in our day and age, and it gets your cardio. So
I'm
there's
a big
that.
fan of
But I
kettlebell
also-
swings. Big fan of kettlebell swings.
Me too.
I love them.
Really heavy ones. But also reverse hypers. I love those too
Nice.
for the
Hell yeah.
posterior chain. Oh,
What about
So good.
if you had two exercises or movements to address like your entire body until the end of time?
to the end of time. I would probably, gosh, I would probably do pull-ups and hypers.
Yeah, I had
Reverse
always said,
hypers.
squats and pull-ups. But
Yeah, squats and pull-ups. That's good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does sound like we just have to do something opposite to what's causing
Yeah, work your
the
posterior
dead.
chain.
Yeah, everything posterior.
Yeah.
I don't think people are gonna do it.
You don't think so?
I mean, I think people like us will,
It's so simple.
but I feel like my concern is like just like the average person, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
like so many people are spending tons of time on their phones, and I'm curious like it would probably take like generations of doing that to see like if there's actual changes to people's bodies over time from it. But like I said with the pinky thing, I feel like we're already seeing
Yeah.
some level of evolution happen with people where like you could preach all day to do the posterior chain, but I think the people it gets through to are already like probably people like us, and
Yeah.
then like I'm just trying to figure out like what do we need to do to develop like
Make it
the
fun.
desk at school to where it doesn't force kids to start having these symptoms.
Well, yeah, because then schools have to change, and
Yeah.
schools are changing a little bit at a time. I think right now because there's those like unschools now, those anti-school
Yeah.
schools, where kids are just like, or it's like student led, where like kids are like leading the activities and stuff, which I think is cool. But I don't know. I'm not here to save everyone.
No, but you at least have the knowledge to say like, all right, if I'm on my phone 8 hours a day and I'm doing this, like, what should I do on my breaks to try to like undo a little bit of that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, undo. So do like some back bending, do some squats, do some lunges.
Yeah, and I feel it like the combination of being on my phone and doing jujitsu
Yes.
is like just doubly bad for
I
my
would
neck.
like to talk about also, but people doing exercises poorly. I've had this YouTube
Let's
channel
go.
idea. Okay.
Let's do it.
Where it's called You're Doing It Wrong.
Love
Okay.
it.
Okay. And it's all about like
You're doing it
here's-
wrong with Shelly Hardin.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing it wrong. I got that name from actually a Pilates teacher. His name was Michael Johnson back in New York City, and he'd talk like this, and he'd be like, "Hey, green shirt, you're doing it wrong," but he wouldn't actually correct the guy. He'd just be like, "You're doing it wrong.
Nice.
You're doing it wrong."
And scene.
No, but like when guys do like those fast but short push-ups.
Hell yeah.
What's that about? What's
Reps?
that about?
Big number means big muscle.
But you're not even doing an actual push-up. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
Like, what-
I love
Like,
form.
what's the
Yeah.
I'm a big fan
where
of
it's at.
form.
Form is where it's at.
He recently joined some of like these group workouts that we do together, but I've been doing with a little crew, and he actually has form, and everybody
I
else
believe
is
it.
like cheating the push-ups, like short, shallow range push-ups, and he's over here doing like strict, perfect form, and suffering the consequences from doing it right too, because his heart rate was higher than everybody else's,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, yeah, I can see that you are pushing yourself harder because you are doing it right.
Exactly.
I could answer your question of what you're doing, but I don't think my answer is talking about the guys that you're thinking of doing it. Because the only thing I was thinking of is like in Muay Thai training, you do a lot of like the really shallow push-ups.
Mm.
But I would argue that in that it like is actually helping develop like the guard a little
Yeah,
bit.
for speed. I get that.
Whereas just in general, yeah, it's like I've been working on that specific thing on push-ups of like lengthening it, getting as much through, and from cueing from my physical therapist of like learning how to do something I've been doing forever, like a push-up, but engaging basically like my core the right way. And
Yeah. There's so
actually
much
using my shoulder
nuance.
blades. Yeah, there's so much, and like you talked about being like into technique. Like it's crazy how much you can continue. Like I'm sure with Pilates, you've done like the routines or the sequences, but like you can still learn and develop a lot even after years and years of practice.
It's so true.
I love this series.
Yeah,
I'm
is it
very
like
excited.
Bikram
Let's
yoga
do
in the
it.
sense that there's like a consistent like process for doing a Pilates class?
Like an order
Yeah.
of the actual, yeah. There is an order.
Okay.
And there's there's generally a beginner, intermediate, advanced, and super advanced routine
Okay.
that you do. But in a general class, like there's probably, like you would like pick and choose which ones to do for somebody. Like if I'm teaching somebody as an individual, I will kind of stay true to the order, but I might skip some exercises if they're not appropriate for that person,
Yeah. That's cool. I gotta give this stuff a try.
You would love it.
bro.
What is wrong with physical therapy?
We kind of talked about that already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
About just how the system is broken
Yeah.
and physical therapists are not given the tools and the time to be able to treat clients properly. And it's kind of like, it's like I worked at a clinic, a few different clinics, but I've worked at this one specific clinic for 3 years, and they would have like repeat clients come in. Now these were like older folks. Like this is like a Medicare heavy clinic,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And it was just, I could see that like there was no real progress actually being made, but it was only because of how the format was. There just wasn't enough time per patient.
Yeah, I think about it like I couldn't say for physical therapy, but I'm thinking in like terms of prescriptions within like a regular doctor with insurance, where like maybe I have bad insurance. I go to the doctor, he's like, "Hey, you need this medicine." And I'm like, "Cool, thank you." Go to the pharmacy and they're like, "Sorry, your insurance won't cover the medicine your doctor thinks you need, but we'll cover something that's maybe kind of similar or
Generic,
close." And like does that kind of same thing happen with physical therapists, where like a physical therapist might tell the insurance like, "Hey, this guy needs to come twice a week," but they're not going to pay for it?
Mm.
Yeah.
It can happen. Now, usually the therapist will then appeal that whole process, or we'll fight for that patient to be able to come back. But sometimes sometimes it's also Medicare clients just using it as a social club, like honestly, like, I had a client one time who he was also seeing a personal trainer and doing physical therapy. And, we got to the point in his physical therapy where it was now mostly doing exercises and not just manual work or anything like that. And he would say, "Oh yeah, me and my personal trainer do this all the time." And then, his script was up from the insurance. And I was
Yeah.
like, "Well, okay, well, it looks like you're discharged now because you're able to do all these things. You've met all your goals and you're already doing all of this with personal training." And he had a conniption fit. Yes, he wasn't one of my regular people.
Yeah.
I saw him like a few times. And yeah, he was not happy to hear that. I was just like, "Oh, okay." Yeah.
That's crazy. And he can't like.
I know. Like he just kept wanted to keep
Yeah.
coming because that was like his social hour.
Yeah.
Well, and that was part of when I did observation hours, kind of related to that, was what made me be like, "Oh, I don't know if this is actually what I want to spend the rest of my life doing," because I always liked sports and I was like an athlete at the time, and I was around a bunch of really cool athletes, and I was in Houston, where there's like the Houston Rockets and the Texans, like there's a big sports city. So in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go become a physical therapist, and I'm gonna be working on like the starting lineup of the Texans every day." Like, and that was like the kind of the hope, right? Like I wanted to work with high level athletes.
Yes.
And I go to this guy's office and it was just like people over the age of 65, knees and lower back, knees and lower back,
Yep.
knees and lower back. And
Yep.
the exercises were the exact same pretty much for whether it was a knee or a lower back.
That's weird.
I mean, there was like a lot of similarities, right? He's
Lots of
getting
ball
posterior
exercises?
chain stuff, right?
Yeah,
And so I'm
I
like,
got
okay,
you. I got
like
you.
I'm seeing a lot of repeating the same thing every day. And I was like, man, I couldn't do that. Yeah. It's just
thanks.
too monotonous for me.
Yeah. That's kind of how it was as well at this clinic. A little bit.
So it sounds like there's not much wrong with physical therapy. There's something wrong with the insurance and just like that whole world of medical insurance.
Totally. Now I will say, kind of going back to like what kept me in physical therapy, because going into school, PT school, I wanted to be a sports therapist too, right? But then the more I learned, the more I was interested in the neuro aspect of it, but specifically outpatient neuro. So like working with stroke patients or MS or Parkinson's in particular.
Yeah.
And so that kept me going in the career, like kept me going, as a physical therapist, because you got to see so many cool improvements working with the neuro crowd. And it's just, it's more, I think, fulfilling as a therapist when it's something like that,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one of our boxing coaches on, and he was saying that at his old gym in Santa Barbara, California, that they did Parkinson's classes.
Oh, cool.
And how helpful. Like he could even see the difference
Yeah.
in the people that would come
That's
in and do
awesome.
boxing for Parkinson's.
Yeah,
which
boxing
is
for Parkinson's
really
is
like
a huge thing.
the same.
That's only
Yeah.
that's actually my like only experience with boxing. When I lived in Georgia, I did volunteer work and I led like boxing for Parkinson's patients.
Oh my gosh, that's
okay.
awesome.
So that's like how I know the numbers.
Oh,
so
like the
cool.
1, 2,
Yeah,
3 and
literally that.
stuff.
So
Like that's
cool.
it. Yeah.
I
It was
want to
really cool.
I want to teach a jiu-jitsu class for neuro clients though. Like
Yeah.
I have a friend who has cerebral palsy, and I've been wanting her to get into it, and she would love it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And like my MS patients, I don't know.
That's been something like, why I stick with teaching jujitsu is like the fulfillment part, right? And for the same reasons, I've worked with like, I don't know how many people compared to you, and you probably end up having more patience, but like I've worked with people with a missing limb. And it's like, all right, how do we do jujitsu occupational therapy for somebody that can't use that arm?
Yeah.
Which creates like really interesting answers. Because
Yes.
there's times that I'm like, nah, yeah, man, you can't do this move. I'm sorry. And then I'm like, wait, no, you can. You can just only do it on one side of the body. Which is I think
He's got
that's
like
super
a
fascinating.
nasty punch choke, bro,
Yeah,
with the
dude,
nub.
that's what I'm
Sick. Yeah. Just get it right in there.
Oh yeah, that would be nasty.
All right, now we can get into the real nitty gritty.
Ooh.
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah. Well, we had
going
talked
on?
about Biofields, and I don't know if we had talked about the quantum biology, but you've piqued my interest. Do you have anything off the dome about it?
Well, not a ton about it. I'm still learning about it myself.
Yeah.
So, but it explains things like what you're talking about, how you sense when somebody's at your home before they knock on the door,
Just imagine him on the couch. He's like, Rico's here.
You felt your presence.
I'm like Peter Parker. It's like the back of my
Yeah.
neck like stands up.
Yes.
My bald bestie.
Your spidey sense. No, but it talks about using quantum physics, the terms like entanglement and tunneling is a big one, and coherence when trying to describe physiological mechanisms. I can't speak to anything too specifically, but just the idea, like I thought that we knew how photosynthesis works. We don't.
Yeah, that was my entire experience
That's
in like
like-
the science department, as we just don't know how anything really works.
Yeah,
Yeah. Or at least in like biology. There's
exactly.
a lot of unanswered questions for sure.
And that's how the quantum biology tries to bridge the gap there in the knowledge. But I can't speak to anything too specific about it, but I just know that that's how a lot of systems in our body like operate.
Yeah, so there was like these 3 examples that I saw that people use for the quantum biology, and one being like photosynthesis, and then the other one being like enzyme catalysis, which is I feel like a lot more to explain. But then the third one that keeps coming up is the like bird navigation.
Ooh, okay.
So bird navigation is
Interesting.
widely believed to involve quantum biology, specifically through a mechanism that allows birds to see Earth's magnetic field lines. But either way, migratory birds have some sense of direction, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's definitely, there's probably not a cut and clear answer from like the scientific community as to how and why. So I guess like quantum biology is kind of like a word that you could use to cover these mysteries that we have
Quantum
left.
biology is the
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
Quantum biology is
Don't need to look into it anymore.
It's just a big shrug. It's like
Just a big shrug. Yeah, exactly.
biology.
But that,
Biology.
I mean, my experience being a student had moments like that where it's like, hey, how exactly does this work? I mean, that's how
That's
prescription
the issue
drugs
that I had
kinda
with
work.
biology too. I was like, it's just like labeling a bunch of things. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't actually explain how it works.
Yeah, the anatomy side makes a lot of sense,
It does.
right? Like
Yeah.
putting SCM,
Yeah, the
that's
label.
good.
Yeah, because we got that.
That I actually found like probably the most helpful part of me studying anatomy and physiology was just having anatomy for doing jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. Because like, I wonder what it's like for you being in the jiu-jitsu environment, knowing like all of the anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like not cringy if you're using like a common term, like a leg, that's fine. But when people try to use like technical terms like incorrectly, I'm like, man, you don't even know like what you're talking about. Just call it a leg. It's fine. Like the amount of times I've heard fibia.
Oh, that's not
Or-
even a thing.
Exactly. Or what would be the other way to say it? Tibula.
Tibula.
Yeah.
My tibula's
Oh,
out.
It's kind of like blinker fluid.
tibia.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I certainly think that we have a very long way to go. I'm actually excited on like the AI side. Have you heard people making these pushes where like instead of training them on like languages, but try to like train them on like physics and chemistry to see what they can output compared to just like language models, which made
I
me
think that would
excited
be
because
quite interesting.
I think that's like
Why
probably
wouldn't
where
they do that? Like, but that's only now happening. Like that should be, that should be
I
like the
don't
whole
know.
purpose of AI.
I don't understand any of it. I just know that AI is it's it's like why our economy is still propped up right now. So for that, it's like okay, that's the kind of the world we're living in now. Is
Yeah.
that it's got to stick around. It's got to last because it's like the only thing holding it together. Especially now that we're in like another world war kind of
That's
situation.
reassuring.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, are we
right?
done? Are we calling it a world war yet? Or
I
are
don't
we
think
not
anyone
calling
really
it
is.
that?
They keep like kicking the can down the
Just on
road.
memes.
Where it's like, no, what's happened so far isn't it, but if this next escalation happens, then it will be. And I'm like, all right, maybe just more time will tell. My take was last summer that it started, right? They had 12-day war, and I'm like, come on, this is not over in 12 days.
Yeah,
you
no.
know? But I just have like a lot of concern being in like the health and fitness spaces, right? Like Pilates, physical therapy, jiu-jitsu, anything that's like health and fitness related. Because of what my original like bigger problem with it was obesity, where I was like super concerned seeing especially Americans were like probably the fattest country. And for a while that was just going up. It seems
Shout
that
out
we've kind
America.
of like passed the peak of the bell curve, which I think could be related to multiple factors, but I think at least a part of that is like the GLP-1s and different injections people are taking, which again, initially I was like, oh, I'm not a fan of that, but it's helping a lot of people lose a lot of weight, which was like one of my biggest concerns kind of from the beginning of me getting like actually a career in the health and fitness kind of world. And now I think of it more of like the kind of neurological side, just on like dead butt syndrome, upper cross, those kind of things, where it's just like the simple muscle neuron connection not working properly. Where it's like,
Right.
at least now I'm not as concerned about obesity. I mean, I still think it's like a huge issue and there's a lot of people like essentially killing themselves with it.
Yeah.
But if that's being handled, then like making sure you're, I don't even know what, like metabolically healthy, but like neurologically healthy,
Yes. I think, well, metabolically and neurologically, they're just one and the same. So, like, our mitochondria is the most important part of our cell,
Shout out
arguably.
mitochondria.
Shout out
Hell yeah.
mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell.
That's what I'm talking about.
And so much. But it does so much more. There's a ton of stuff. And they even, I mean, going back to like mental health issues, right? Like there's books about how mitochondria, like that's at the root level of mental health issue is it's a mitochondria metabolism problem. And that comes partially from what we eat, but also from like the light that we expose ourselves to as well. The infrared light that we get from the sun, that's important for our health and well-being because it goes straight to the mitochondria, which helps to build ATP, which helps to charge the water in our body, which helps with, inflammation, decreasing our inflammation. But yeah, the diet. So diet is huge, right? When it comes to weight loss, it's like I think they say it's like 85% of weight loss is from the food you eat.
Yeah.
So people, will come to me, even like if I, was work at a clinic and had like obese people coming to me as well, like, they would be like, oh, well, I can't work out because my knees are injured. I'm like, well, actually, I'd educate them on their diet and they didn't like me after that.
Yeah.
They didn't want to see me. But, I've actually played around with my diet quite a bit. Like I was carnivore for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And going back to the GLP-1s, I think Paul Saladino had he highlighted a research article or two about this, that the carnivore diet and the GLP-1, the metabolic pathway is the same. So like you don't have to take GLP-1, you can just go carnivore and get similar results.
Yeah.
With weight loss.
Makes sense to me from like all of like the side effects and stuff.
Yeah.
right? Like satiety, or right?
Mm-hmm.
You're getting like the same effect in both, whether you're just eating meat or taking the injection.
Yeah.
I used to be at like maybe at like the first glance, I was extremely skeptical about like GLP-1s.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, I've realized that there's a lot of people, like you've said, you've worked with them. There's like obese people that they just cannot get the weight off. They've
Mm-hmm.
tried different things, and like if it's working, I'm all here for it,
Yeah.
especially for that like population.
Mhm.
I think like already thin people taking it is pretty concerning, but I don't know how
Why would they
much.
take it?
Well, I mean, kind of like stay lean kind of ideas, I guess. I've known quite a few people that are on it that I'm like, I don't know why you would risk the possible like side effects from it for
What side
the
effects are there
benefits.
from it?
Well, like when you lose the weight, because it's kind of like almost like a carnivore state, like you're not eating that much, and depending on what activity or level you're doing, like not the weight, it's not all just like fat being burned off. It's not just like a turning every ounce that you lose was pure fat that's gone from your body. So you can like lower your bone density and muscle mass.
Yeah, and that's
You can maintain them
big
on them
no-no.
too, but it can affect that. Like imagine me on a GLP-1, dude. I would wither
Why?
away.
I'd be like, why?
Exactly. It'd be dumb.
Yeah, that'd be dumb.
Be like trim right before I died.
No, but I was on Carnivore actually to get off of one of my medications. And I had tried with my doctor to get off this medication with like 3 different combinations, and it didn't work ultimately. And I did Carnivore for a month. 3 months. 3 months, and then I was off of that medication.
That's cool.
That's pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
And I was stronger. Like I felt really good. But then there's just a switch went off in my body, and like red meat no longer is like appetizing to me anymore. And so now I'm going the Ayurvedic route.
What is that?
Ayurvedic. It's from India originally. It's kind of like India's, kind of traditional medicine.
Okay.
And it's all based with like food and herbs. And it's based on finding out what your dosha is, which is kind of like your body type. It's similar to that, but it's not only about physical body type. It's about like your constitution of like, what's your body temperature tend to be? Like, do you tend to run cold or hot or, what have you? So it's kind of more individualized, and you can have combinations. Like I'm Pitta and Vata. There's like 3 main ones. Like the other one's Kapha.
Okay, good. No, sorry.
What?
I was like, I'm glad you're breaking it down, because I was like, is it like a like you hit different like metrics and it's like a sliding scale, or is it like classes?
It's
like,
based on kind of like a questionnaire of like what your tendencies are and what your preferences are.
Mhm.
And so, but it's also based on the elements like fire, earth, water, ether, and one other thing.
What's ether?
What's ether?
What's ether?
Ether is what connects all of us.
Tight.
Juice. It connects all of us. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. It's hard to explain what the ether is, but it's this thing
It's out there.
we're swimming in it right now. Yeah. So anyway, but I'm a fan of Ayurvedic because it makes you feel good in general. Like like, okay, it's you have a guide of like, okay, I can only have like warm drinks, or I can have this type of spice versus that type of spice, but there's still a good amount of variety in it. Whereas Carnivore, there's little variety.
Yeah. Can you
But I didn't mind when I was on
Yeah.
Carnivore. I didn't mind steak and eggs all the time.
what are the rules of Carnivore again?
So there's a spectrum of Carnivore.
Oh, okay.
I actually read 3 different books on Carnivore before going for it because it was so dramatic, and I was vegan before that. Okay,
That's
like
a big swing.
I yeah. So I like, I experiment with my diet quite a bit. So I read, 3 of them, and then so Paul Saladino's book was like the main one that I really remember. And but the spectrum is like, okay, the more the less strict one is basically you can have meat and dairy, so you can have milk and cheese and fruit, like berries, but not fruit that has like very little sugar.
Okay.
And then the other spectrum is only meat and organs.
Okay.
And that's it.
So
there's just some like variety in the between. So I was on like the meat and cheese and eggs. Oh yeah, you can have eggs in all of them. Yeah.
Okay. So Tyson, when we had Tyson on, he was talking about the fight camp. Do you remember the stuff for the fight camp? Was it I feel like it was Carnivore. Is that?
I wouldn't say it was carnivore. It was like, to me, maybe closer to like paleo.
Okay.
Meaning like,
Because there's veg.
yeah, you could have like lettuce and stuff.
Okay.
Which I think like in
Yeah,
carnivore,
vegetables are a big
strict.
no-no in carnivore land.
So,
Carnivore land.
Okay.
You could have like fruits and vegetables with it. So to me, that'd be like
So
more on the
paleo-ish.
side of the paleo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Paleo was my best experience. Like when I first started like actual dieting, I was like in high school and competing a lot in jiu-jitsu and like trying to figure out weight classes and just like feeling out my own performance. That diet really worked for me at that time to like get trim but have really good performance at the same time. I've tried a bunch of different things. I've never gone probably more than like 24, 36 hours of like strict carnivore. I don't have the drive to do it. Every time I've ever tried, I get like the blood sugar crash, which I'm sure you just got to like push through and you probably feel fine after. But like I get that crash and I'm like, nope, I'm going to have something sweet and
Yeah.
kind of perk my brain back up.
Yep.
How is paleo different from keto again?
I think in a way that's like a square is still a rectangle. So you could have like a keto paleo diet at the same time.
Okay. Just because a keto is just a very low carb diet. I think there's, I can't remember the number of carbs that are allowed on keto, like 20 or 15 carbs, I think a day, something like that, which is very low.
Yeah.
So like, but vegetables have a lot of carbs in them.
Yeah.
So you'd have to have a paleo diet with like a low carb.
Yeah. So you could do both.
Have you done any other kinds of diets and stuff that you remember?
The most stupid one I did was I tried to do a keto vegan diet. That was dumb. Cause talk about blood sugar.
Yeah,
Like,
you just on
how do you
fat.
even do a keto but vegan? Vegan. Like a bunch of nuts and shit.
I was
No.
gonna, yeah. Where's the protein
Like,
coming in from?
why did I do that? I don't fucking know.
How long?
Like 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't last very long. What other diets have I done? I mean, just regular food, whatever. But yeah, I think I was vegan and for, like I said, for 3 years, and then carnivore, and now Ayurvedic. Yeah.
And how long have you been doing? It's Ayurvedic.
Yeah, Ayurvedic.
Ayurvedic. Okay. You said that at first. I thought you were
not
asking
for
me a
very
question.
long. Not for. I've only been doing it for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you enjoy it? Like
I'm enjoying it a lot. Yeah. I'm enjoying like cooking meals again, because before it was just very utilitarian, just like, let's make some meat,
I feel like
some
every
eggs.
carnivore person like just eats on a cutting boord.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
like the carnivore plate.
Pretty much.
Is you just like use the cutting board for your dish.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like being a physical therapist, every physical therapist I've ever been around has been like a absolute physical specimen of some kind, right? Like I think there's like more hacking in like the physical therapist world. Do you like, what's it been like for you on the mat, and has your experience in physical therapy helped you stay like protected and safe on the mat, or are you subject to all the same injuries the rest of us are from jiu-jitsu?
I feel like I'm less injury prone.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Because I can feel when an injury is going to start to happen. Like my neck, for example, right? Like if I train for like too many days in a row, I'll get like, jiu-jitsu neck,
Yeah.
where it's like kind of stiff and achy, all the time.
Yeah.
And,
you
but
can't turn. You're like,
yeah, exactly. Like checking the rear view, like
Yeah, exactly. That's the worst.
twisting the whole body to
whole
check the
body
blind,
turn.
check the blind spot. So I know how to like mitigate injuries. I didn't like using the term prevent injury because I don't think that's realistic in jiu-jitsu, but you can mitigate it and you can keep it from being like, bad, like, than it otherwise would be.
Yeah.
So yes, I think I have a little bit of a advantage.
Yeah, I feel like it's maybe just like from like the school, but every PT I've known is also into fitness. I've never really met any that weren't like really an athlete basically themselves. And I just feel like they've figured it out. The guy that I was working for did Ironmans, and
Oh,
he could do all sorts of stuff
that's
that I didn't
amazing.
think was humanly possible. And I was like he would do like a pull-up bar, but then go horizontal and like
Oh,
maintain that while
dang.
doing like
Like
row pull-ups.
a front lever.
But he would be under the bar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was
That's
like,
amazing.
man, like and from my perspective to him, he's like, yeah, I just figured out how the body works.
Yeah.
And like, I guess there's some benefits to it. Cause like I studied exercise science. I learned anatomy. I learned some physiology. I learned some things that did help me as like a fight sports coach for like weight cutting. It did
Mhm.
help a little bit, but
Mhm.
nothing like major
Mhm.
performance wise. But I imagine like in physical therapy school, you eventually go over enough that like, if you want to be an athlete and you harness all the education you have, you could probably come up with, you know, a good
Yeah.
programming and the diet side of it and everything
Yeah.
kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I've really been interested and curious about getting into rock climbing. I think that could be fun.
I feel like it's a super popular like crossover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
I think it
Jiu-Jitsu
is.
athletes, right?
Yeah.
There's very few things that you can mimic jujitsu, and rock climbing is actually very close.
Mm-hmm.
It's super nerve wracking. You're using your hands. You got to have really mobile hips. Like it's more with your legs than people think it is.
It definitely is.
You know, so there's definitely some similarities there.
Yeah.
Why do you think that jujitsu is so good for mental health? Like, what do you think it is about it?
Gosh, so many things. So many things. I mean, just from the physiological aspect of it, the human interaction.
I was
It's
about to say, I'm
built
just here
in.
for the hugs, bro.
Yeah, but like that's on multiple levels interacting. Like yeah, you're talking to somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, you're touching somebody. You're getting also deep pressure. That deep pressure helps to like increase your oxytocin levels.
Yeah, I believe
You know, yeah, and your serotonin. So I mean, it's physiologically, you know, helpful for your mental health. But then it's just also like having the community, and especially if you have an accountability person like that's like wanting you to come to class with them or like asking
Yeah.
like if you haven't been in a while or whatever, then it's like sense of belonging, right? That's huge for mental health.
that. Yeah.
I mean, gosh, we could probably think of like 100 between the three of us reasons
Yeah.
why it's so good for you.
That's why, like, when I don't know why I have such a negative view for the future of people like exercising, but I just think it's going to get like dulled down into like eat like the food that this is all the nutrition you need. So like make it as small as possible and as simple and as fast as possible. And I felt like that's going to have some similarity with like exercise, where it's going to like come into the exercise pod and it does it for you.
Oh yeah, the machine that can like get
Right.
you
But at
into
least
shape.
I do think I've always felt that jujitsu will be sticking around for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Because for people to come get all these things at once, like you'd have to go do so many different things to get what jujitsu can give you. Right. You'd have to like go to the bar and socialize, and then you got to like go do the sets and reps for the exercise. And,
Yeah. And
yeah.
it's so healthy for, I mean, even like the cardiovascular aspect of jiu-jitsu, that you know, you get that high from, you know, from your cardiovascular standpoint. And yeah, I mean, there's just, it checks so many boxes, you know,
It really does.
getting the rage out too,
That was kind of what I was
get that
wanting to get
rage
to.
out.
Yeah.
Especially for females. We got that sacred rage.
Yeah.
Maybe men have sacred rage too, though. Maybe they do.
I don't rage. I
But-
think one thing
You
I
don't
need to
rage.
work on is like actually amping up intensity.
Oh, you're there as like a friendly partner.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, choke him. Choke him. Finish the guy.
I can be that way sometimes too, though. I'm just
Yeah.
like I laugh a lot.
I laugh a ton. I'm just laughing and singing the whole time.
No, but like on like the vibe of man, like women's matches, women's MMA fights, like there is definitely something about that type of aggression that's different from like the male aggression. And I also think like it takes like a pretty tough person to do jujitsu out of anyone. It's like women that train are like doubly tough,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
But I pick up on it because like you can see it. Like I feel like with guys, like the win and lose is like a higher and a low, right? Like the winner just feels great, the loser feels terrible. But I feel like when women compete, like they seem to both be at like the same intensity after, you know?
Interesting.
Like I feel like their competitive drive like operates differently than for guys. My last question for you: say we're gonna give you a super fight in jiu-jitsu, so you're gonna go do the next WNO. what's your walkout song gonna be?
I was going to ask you guys for your walkout songs.
Oh, I'll go first.
Dang.
My walkout song I always pick is "So Fresh, So Clean" Outkast.
Oh, that's a
That
good
fits
one.
you very well. Yeah, I'm not
Thanks, bro.
surprised
That's a
at
good
all.
one.
Thanks.
Ah, dang. I don't
I-
know the name of this one.
Oh man,
You can sing it.
yeah, he's a encyclopedia of all things musical.
I have two. I'm gonna go with "Eye of the Tiger."
Sick, classic,
Hell yeah.
old
Or-
school.
But there's this one like old school country song
Okay,
that's like it talks about rolling home or something or
Okay.
rolling. I'm always rolling, and so yeah,
Something like that.
Whatever that song is.
that's pretty good.
If you find it, it'll probably come to you like as you're
Yes.
driving off or something. Yeah, let me know.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming by and
Yeah, thank
taking the time
you.
to talk with us about physical therapy. And if you want, you can like shout out where people can find you, your
Yeah.
website, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So my website is thegrapplerspt.com, and on Instagram I'm at thegrapplerspt. So easy to remember.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for watching, and we'll be back with another episode soon. Juice, you got anything?
Comment down below what you remember from biology class.
Ooh.
The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Thank you.